Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers. This time I'm doing a video response in regards to a remark that Montana 300 Chicago rapper said on a VladTV interview. And he was speaking about an issue that's been viral for quite some time, I think a few weeks now, where he said that let the KKK enter Chicago, and more specifically the South Side. Now, in that interview, him and Montana were exchanging words, and they were being very adamant about the fact that the Ku Klux Klan has a fear of entering Chicago right here. And there may be truth to it, because everybody's going to pick and choose their battles. Because if we really wanted to be objective about this, it made me think about something that Montana was saying about they don't want to deal with like people from the hood and all these black folks and all the guns that they got and all these street dudes who are about that life. But then you have to ask yourself this question though: where were all these super thugs at when it came to George Zimmerman? He could breathe in Miami. You got all these Haitians and all these Caribbeans and these crazy hood niggas in Miami and all these parts of Florida, and they ain't doing nothing to Zimmerman. That dude's walking scot-free. Dylan Roof, when he was outside of prison and he murdered 9 people in a church, no one did anything to him then. Nobody even proposed a threat to him. As a matter of fact, there was begging, and white people had to go and save the day and be the good Samaritans. So when I was looking at that interview, I had to think about something that even Ice Cube said. You were behind enemy's line in higher learning. So even if black folks decided on massacring and successfully massacred a good portion of people from the Ku Klux Klan, then you're gonna fester up more hatred. It's gonna beget more problems. Then you're gonna have these other factions like the neo-Nazis. Then you're going to have other white supremacist groups, or the alt-right, or a bunch of hicks, or even people from the NRA or something. So you have to rule out all possibilities. Even if you succeeded in eliminating the Ku Klux Klan or just taking out a bunch of them, then more people who have a disdain for blacks are just going to emerge. So you have to rule out all those possibilities. And honestly, if it came to a real race war, black folks are not winning that. Not by a long shot. Because black folks don't, as a collective, black people don't understand the mechanics or the dynamics of warfare, psychologically, mechanically, with the weaponry choices. I mean, Sarge likes to talk about these type of subjects more, so to be honest with you, he would be somebody to watch. And I don't even like that Negro, but I have to be objective about it. I mean, and when Montana 300 said that he never had to deal with racism in Chicago, I suppose that is a relative thing. But for me personally, I went to a school in Lakeview, Chicago. If anybody knows, it was a school named Blaine, where I was just completely shunned down and outcasted, and being the only black kid in that school. This was in a predominantly white neighborhood near an area called Belmont. But yeah. So when he said that, I'm like, wow. It just let me know when you're in the north side of the region of America, you just deal with covert racism, as opposed to being somewhere like Tennessee, being somewhere like Texas, being somewhere like Louisiana, where chances are you're gonna deal with overt racism. So it's really just a matter of perspective, and it's a matter of geography. So yeah. I even saw something that Chicago World News, shout out to that guy, where he even made a commentary within the video, and he was saying how on Devon, which is like Little India, there was a white dude out there who was fucking with other minorities, and I believe it was actually black people, and there was nobody, none of these gangbanging Negroes in Chicago wasn't doing shit, because in that area you have more of the Black P. Stones that reside within that community around Devon. So, yeah. So, when I think about these things, black folks don't come with that same vitriol. They'll be quicker to come at another black man, way quicker than they ever think about coming at a white man. Dylan Roof, George Zimmerman, Darren Wilson, are clear testaments of that. And the dude who, you know, choked Eric Gardner. So you got to look at it like that. There are plenty of examples where Negroes did not do anything. They did not exude that hostility. And honestly, we all know that it just stems from a social engineering. But at some given point, with all these dudes having these documentaries like Tariq, and you got Umar, you got cats from the Nation and the Fruit of Islam, you got brothers like Professor Griff speaking, you got dudes like Polite and Sonetta. They just talk. They'll say cracker this, white devil that, white supremacy this, and snow monkey that. But I could say with supreme confidence that none of these dudes will go out there and wage war, because if they wage war, they know there's going to be a major L taken. Now, that's something that we have to acknowledge as black people. We lost to white people. We don't have to keep trying to create a rationale for it. We lost, and we just need to learn from our mistakes. Because if white people were that foolish, if they were that stupid and that inferior, then it makes zero sense to have lost to an inferior being. That's how you got to look at it. We need to have less people who just shoot off the mouth, and we need more brothers out here who are trying to make an approach like Shaka Zulu. Even Professor Griff, going back to him, when I was thinking about the remarks he made against the Jews and how he stood by that. See, black people don't even want to stand by that conviction anymore. And I think that there is going to be a rise coming. There needs to be a civil war. Before we try to fight the enemy, we have to fight within ourselves. And that's how I look at it. We need to extract this bad jinn, the spirit that we possess, and that's been cursing and hexing black folks for the longest. I know that white people have played a major role in fucking us over, and let's be honest, they're not going to be intellectually honest about the situation. So what we need to do is just work on ourselves with all the books, with all the knowledge, with all the social media that we have, with all the time we take to record coonery and buffoonery. We could take time to do something more constructive, and instead of just pandering to the ego and the feel-good talk. You get what I'm saying? So we got to do things. It's deeper than just trying to wage war against the Ku Klux Klan, because the Ku Klux Klan is relatively obscure in 2017. So when Montana 300 was talking about that with Vlad, no disrespect to the brother, I think it was a moot point that he was making. And that's my overall take on it. Shout out to College Kid, shout out to my brother Big B Kel, and shout out to all individuals who can see the bigger picture and is not just looking at it